Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. We're here with Dutch Skink on holiday, gonna be taking some elf action, elf on elf. Myself taking the high elves, and him taking dark elves. So let's get straight to it. We've got 4 Illyrian Reavers in Vanguard here. 3 Silver Helms. We've managed to catch Dutch Skink's Dark Riders in a Vanguard here, and we're gonna be able to take them out. Of course, ALITH here, we've got the Spearmen for a main line with the Loremaster of Hoeth for the caster. 3 units of Reaver Archers, including these guys here, the Heralds of the Wind with their extra melee stats, charge bonus, and so on. Got a Scourge Runner Chariot for the Dark Elves, another here, and they're going to be led by Mr. MALUS Darkblade himself. Also got a Fire Sorceress on a Cold One, couple of Bolt Throwers, just one Bolt Thrower actually, 2 Cold One Knights, and Dark Shards with shields. Pretty good stuff, like some swords, mostly just for infantry. Yeah, good stuff. We're going to be getting underway here. I'm using this wood line here for cover as much as possible from the bolt throwers and from the scourge runners. Just maneuvering my forces around here and being able to kind of confuse Dutch Skink. I'm trying to keep him off foot, not really expecting, are the cav going to pop up over here? Are they going to pop up over here? The main line's going to come forward here. That Moonbow was a little bit of a swing and a miss on those Cold One Knights, but the decoy has been popped, so we're going to march him up in the same position, more or less, that ALITH was in. Meanwhile here, I did manage to catch these Scourge Runner Chariots, do some good damage with those Reavers, but I ended up taking quite a bit of damage from those Cold One Knights on that counter charge there. Very good stuff. Reavers sort of forming a line over here to potentially try and sweep up and around, but I'm trying to play this very patiently so I can definitely have these spearmen in here to support. But when you're playing in a position like this, your opponent's got artillery and you have to advance on them, you always want to make sure you bring the house, as I like to call it, bring everything in at once. Move in your infantry line and all that with support. You can see there that Dutch Skink actually took the bait and fireballed that decoy, which is nice for me. Not really that big of a waste of Winds of Magic, but this sorceress here was completely fooled. She had no idea. But anyway, cavalry continuing to just kind of maneuver. The Reavers, I'm not really too happy about how much damage the Heralds of the Wind have taken. They are a pretty expensive unit, and I have lost some unit models here, so that engagement was definitely not cost-effective for me. But, yeah, we can potentially still pull things back. Certainly nothing devastating. Find Loremaster Hoeth going to take that fireball. Doesn't do too much because of his armor, but will do a little bit. And, oh man, he really has a missile block chance, just like the Swordmasters. I forgot about that. I don't think that applies to fireball. It does apply to some of the other magic missiles, I believe. Maybe they changed that. But anyway, Spirit Leech is nice for going after these low model count cavalry like Cold One Knights. It's just good against cavalry in general. You can kind of pick away models almost like a bolt thrower would. But if you look here, we're going to try and get a nice concave surround and try and pressure some of these flanks here. Not necessarily too close to the white line, so I definitely can get up and around on both sides. But we'll see. I'm going to try and fix the swords in place with my spears. They should hold up okay in melee, especially with the Loremaster of Hoeth providing a bit of anti-infantry punch there. That bolt thrower has been able to use up most of its ammunition, so let's check in. 29 kills, not too many XP chevrons, so I don't know if it's necessarily paid for itself, but just kind of forcing me into this uphill engagement here is not the best. I do manage to get in here. Dutch Skink does a very good job actually blocking with the Scourge Runner Chariots, kind of taking the charge with them from the Silver Helms, because they do have pretty good HP and armor. They'll take that charge pretty well, and then the Cold One Knights coming in with a counter charge. That nice cascading fire cloak as well for a bit of armor piercing. So very well played there. Meanwhile, over here, I charge in with the Reavers to try and break some of these swords real quick. We also get on some of those Dark Shards, but again, great counter charges here by these Cold One Knights, just waiting in reserve and responding to wherever my cavalry try and come in. I'm going to try and pull them through this piercing bolts of burning here, but it doesn't look like we actually got a handful of their models through there, so nice little pick by me, but I did take a ton of damage on those Reavers. My archers here just kind of standing back, picking away. I definitely should have swept up and around here and tried to get on this bolt thrower here, but as it stands, we're pushing through both sides. Managed to clean up this unit of Cold One Knights with the Silver Helms. Silver Helms also cleaned up the Scourge Runner Chariot here, so we can maybe start a push on this side. Over here, I'm going to come in and with these Reavers try and finish off this unit of Dark Shards. We can maybe break this unit of Bleak Swords as well. Dutch Skink once again responding very well in a counter charge situation. I come in and I'm trying to follow up here with these Illyrian Reavers, but I actually faint out on the charge order here. You can see I pull away at the last second. I'm not really sure why exactly in the battle I did that, but if I had landed that charge there with all of these Reavers, they probably had enough models to finish off that Cold One Knight in a rear charge, but unfortunately a bit of a mistake by me. Dustskink's going to capitalize here, clean up the rest of my Reavers. I do come through on the Silver Helms, but because I kind of had that little bit of a piecemeal engagement here, he is able to bring these Cold One Knights back around, throwing an Earthblood on these Silver Helms here. And they didn't quite get the good charge, so I'm going to try and pull them away so they don't get wrecked. But again, that consistent cascading Fire Cloak, very, very nice on these Cold One Knights. You can see they're up to 50 melee defense and that extra armor-piercing damage, of course. Very, very important. So excellent stuff. Malus is still completely healthy as well. I haven't really been able to get into a good position to pick away with ALITH ANAR at him. But you can see here, yeah, it looks like I'm picking at those Cold One Knights, but Malus could potentially be a problem in the late game. We are getting a pretty good push going, though. You can see a lot of units broken here. The Cold One Knights, since they're now busy in other positions, or I believe they've maybe been finished off, we're finally able to shut down some of these ranged units and potentially start cleaning up some of these light swords. It looks like here's the Cold One Knights actually left. 22 of them left, an XP Chevron. Now, potential for getting more if they're able to clean up some of these other units in the late game. But for myself, I'm going to try and get them in isolation and multi-charge with like all my cavalry units if possible. ALITH ANAR's in a bit of a pickle, though. You can see, oh man, Malus has caught him, and it is not a good time for ALITH ANAR. He's going to get punted around here. Not really a combatant worthy of fighting Malus. Oh man, look at that hard stare. Just whacks him on the side of the head. ALITH ANAR doesn't seem to care too much. Didn't even get staggered, but he's definitely taken some serious damage. So a dangerous situation for me. I do still have the Lore Master fighting here, so I can potentially screen out. And because I have a pretty significant mobility advantage here, I can try and screen out with cavalry as well. But this Cold One Knight unit is going to be a big problem for that that mobility advantage if I want to maintain it. So I definitely need to take them out as soon as possible and sweep up the rest of these missile units here so we can just get them off the field, right? You can see these Scourge Runners just barely holding their leadership together. The shields here for the Dark Shards actually do give them a little bit more melee defense, so they'll hold up just slightly longer here. You can see 22 melee defense really isn't great, but I mean, I forget how much it is without the shield, but even just that little bit % extra can help them in a situation like this. I mean, these Reavers only 30 melee attack without their martial prowess, so definitely not that impactful of a chance to hit modifier there. Malus Darkblade also still completely healthy. Again, I used the decoy. Unfortunately, I didn't catch it there, but I actually used the decoy directly in Malus's path, managed to get it in the perfect position for him to get an animation on it, and it broke the order on ALITH ANAR. I've now got him stalked, and I'm going to try and run through and just stick near this big support blob if I can. Meanwhile, the decoy just kind of distracting over here, trying to push away the sorceress too. She's just got a tiny bit of HP. Really don't want her coming back. I'm pretty far behind on the balance of power at this point, but I think if I can clean up a lot of this infantry and maybe still snipe out Malus, force him to use his Zarkan form, and then just kite him out, I might have a chance to potentially take this, but it's going to be pretty difficult, and Judge Skink has been playing very, very well in responding to my massive Elftonia rush this entire time, and while we were in chat, he was definitely stressing out about defending against this, but he's done an excellent job here. Really used his knights well, and again, in a situation like this, you need to maintain your own heavy cavalry in a reserve and respond to your opponent, you know, when you're outnumbered in terms of your cavalry. But certainly Cold One Knights more cost effective in that they have armor piercing anti-large, so against other cavalry, right, they do tend to trade pretty cost effectively. And with the Scourge Runner Chariots being in support, excellent play there. Oh man, was that ALITH ANAR? Decent shot there. That Lore Master of Hoeth does get routed off, but you can see it managed to claw back a bit on the balance of power. We have routed off a lot of these just supporting chaff units here. You can see there's some Dark Shards over there. I'm going to go clean up with that one Silver Helm. Still though, not looking great. This Cold One Knight still on the field, up to 2 chevrons with just 10 unit models left, and ALITH ANAR keeps whiffing his shots on Malus Darkblade there, so it's not looking too hot. The Lore Master of Hoeth does come back from route, so I'm going to try and get in range, maybe cast a Spirit Leech to finish off these Cold One Knights, potentially heal ALITH ANAR. I don't really remember where I was at in terms of Winds of Magic at this point, but the Spears and the Silver Helms here, can they finish off the Cold One Knights? We do manage to get a charge in here. Does a little bit of damage on those Bleak Swords as well, but the Illyrian Reavers actually came in without support, and because Malus just went straight through them and didn't get blocked by them, that leaves him free to come in and finish off ALITH potentially. I desperately throw in these Reavers. They're not going to hold up long at all here, but we do manage to break those Cold War Knights, so ever inching on closer on the balance of power as Malus does start to take some hits from ALITH and some of his own abilities there, causing some damage to himself as well. So maybe I can bring things back. We're just about back to even. ALITH goes for a ride there, and that's not too fun. That melee defense debuffs goes down. Again, going to cause a little bit of damage to Malus himself, but if I can get some hits in, a good hit there at point blank from ALITH. Let's see. Keep it nice and close and cinematic as ALITH attempts to make his stand here. You can see the Silver Helms. Looks like they actually routed away there. Unfortunately, I was going to try and use them to tie down Malus, but try and juke and dodge here. Don't quite get the dodge, and that is going to spell the end for poor ALITH here. He just gets absolutely KO'd by Malus, and just for style points, he hits the summon at the very last second, or the transformation, rather. So, excellent battle. Very well played to Dutch Skink. It was a super close slugfest there. And yeah, credit to him. Defending against this kind of mass cavalry build is really tough, but he did an excellent job. Managed to get good positioning up on that hill and away from the forest. So, even though I did use that forest for cover as much as possible, you know, I still had a good distance to walk where that bolt thrower could generate some value. And even just against my spearmen, again, that positional advantage of forcing me into his position worked very well there, and he did a good job of playing forward from his artillery as well. A lot of players tend to play too close to their artillery, but he, with his units, was able to get some good spacing. And granted, on my part, I was playing a little bit blobby with my Reavers. I think if I had maybe had them cut up into a few different control groups and micro them more effectively, we could have potentially been able to tie down these Dark Shards and other units, but honestly, they didn't end up getting that many kills. It was really the Cold One Knights using all of these units as bait, more or less, that got the majority of the work done against, you know, my high-value unit. Very fun game. Well played to Dutch Skink. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.